It's a 9-yard gain. Good for a junior blue. First down. Favorable. Brought down on the play by number 7, Charles Jones. It's a gain of 7 yards on the play. Second down from the 3-yard line. They're in the ball carrier. -1 on the play. Brings up 3rd and goal from the 4.
Allstate now has deeper savings, and deeper savings require deep thoughts and a deep voice, like mine. Save for being a new customer. Save more for adding DriveWise, and save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. As someone once said, saving today is money tomorrow. That's Steve.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Winterberg, Illinois.
The weather can be unpredictable.
I get asked about college a lot. Where will I go? What will I do? How much will it cost? I couldn't even figure out where to start. My aunt told me about an Vista College roadmap.
Insurance Company present.
Is 2020 your year for a new home? I'm Carrie Brown with eXp Realty Preferred Advisors Team. Be sure and listen Saturdays at 10 a.m. on 580 a.m. WIB.
This Saturday as she visits with Brian from Legacy Post and Beam. 10 seconds. The open floor plans that are beautiful and affordable. Tune in Saturday to Real Estate 101 at 10 a.m. Brought to you by the team at eXp Realty Preferred Advisors.
Welcome back to the Investor Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW. Brendan Dworzinski and Greg Akagi with you in the booth. Marco Marquez, our producer-engineer. Jake Laban, our field reporter. Second quarter, Manhattan with the ball at the Washburn Rural 40-yard line. Indians already leading the Junior Blues by a margin of 7-3. Now Manhattan moving from right to left as you listen. In the gun on first down, it's a handoff by Schartz to Lorenzo Wilhoit, who cuts outside to the right, gets all the way past the 35-yard line down to the 33, a gain of 7. A strong start here for Lorenzo Wilhoit, back after missing the last several games for Manhattan. Gets to
123 yards of total offense in the first quarter for the Manhattan Indians versus 42 for Washburn Rural.
Two wide receivers to the right, a wing in that direction as well for Manhattan with the ball centered between the hashes. Snap to Schartz. It's another handoff to Wilhoit, who sweeps around to the right, breaks through an ankle tackle of Weber, fights his way past the 30. That's enough for a first down as the Indians move the chains once again, getting down to about the 28-yard line. First down Manhattan just 40 seconds into the second quarter.
Wilhoit, outstanding runner.
5-yard gain on the play.
5'10", 155, but you see the power that he has had so far on his 3 carries. His first 3 carries is sitting for 16 yards.
The center Magana gets over the ball as Tate Brown isolates himself to the far left side of the field, guarded by Landon McEwen of Washburn Rural. Ball in the far right hash. First and 10 for Manhattan. Inside give this time to Aschenbrenner. He's got a hole. He plows through it and gets near the 20-yard line, call it the 21. 7 more yards on the first down carry. That's happened back-to-back starts to a series for Manhattan. The Indians continue to move the ball. They're on the fringe of the red zone now, leading by 4.
Aschenbrenner now 8 carries, 70 yards, including 25-yard touchdown run in the first quarter, the only touchdown for the Indians.
Just over a minute and a half gone here in this period, as it's now Hall out to the left side of the formation. That's the wide side. The wing read is there as well as Newby comes in motion. Second down, it's a handoff up the middle to Aschenbrenner, who gets spun around and thrown down. Good tackle that time by David Dean. Once again, the safety coming up to the line of scrimmage and making the hit at the 20-yard line, a gain of just 1. It is a third down and 1 now for Manhattan.
Third down, fans. Third down.
And it's just outside the 20. They need to get it just inside the 19, so a long 1.5 yards.
And the Indians are going to go jumbo here. Backfield wing to the right, wing right, running back left. It's Talik Houston. He's a blocker, though, as Aschenbrenner in the gun, takes it, breaks through one tackle, gets all the way past the 15, down near the 10-yard line. It's officially the 11 where they spot it. Dane Aschenbrenner takes the snap that time, burrows his way through for a 9-yard gain up to the 11. First and 10 Manhattan as they continue to move the chains here on this drive.
Boy, Schnurr had a chance to get him at the line of scrimmage, but Aschenbrenner broke right through his tackle of Eric Schnurr, and he got those extra yardage now just outside the 10.
The All-State standout on defense, Ilalio, back into the game offensively here. So is Talik Houston. He's to the right of Aschenbrenner. Power formation for Manhattan. The quarterback will take it, keep it, put his shoulder down, gets wrapped up and lassoed to the ground at the 8-yard line. So a gain of 3 on first and 10. Manhattan can score, or I should say can get a first down without scoring on this possession. The 1-yard line is the line to gain. 8:45 to go until halftime. Indians already up by 4.
Washburn Rural making a change.
First down brings up second down and 7 Indians.
Looks like along the offensive or defensive line front, as they're going to bring in Hanks.
Trying to get the best athletes on the field right now to counter this offensive onslaught on the ground by Manhattan, but the Indians are going to slow things down on their own and take a timeout with 8:21 to go until halftime. The Indians are charging again at the 8-yard line, already leading 7-3 over Washburn Rural. We'll take a break with them. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 5D Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
When the coronavirus struck your community, what if you had no soap, masks, food, medical care? This is the reality for national.
On Spotify.
Second down and 7 from the 8-yard line for Manhattan. Indians already up 7-3, 8:21 to go in the second quarter. Dane Aschenbrenner at quarterback for Manhattan. Heavy to the left. That's where he's going to run after he takes the snap. Bounces to the 5. It's a swarm of junior blues who wrap him up, and there is a penalty marker on the tackle. Aschenbrenner gets pulled up just a hair inside the 6-yard line. They've got a player for Washburn Rural who comes off a little gimpy. That's Shane Sexton, the sophomore lineman, as we wait to hear what the penalty is near the spot of the tackle. And it is a face mask called against Washburn Rural. That'll go half the distance to the goal after the run by Aschenbrenner. And it is being placed at the 3-yard line. Tail of the ball at the 3-yard line. And it still reads second down on the dial down.
First and goal, though.
Some discrepancy between what we had announced to us and what is showing on the field, but nonetheless, 8 minutes on the clock. Manhattan inside the 5-yard line. Aschenbrenner waits. Heavy left again. He hands it off to Talik Houston. Starts right, cuts back to the middle, and the Junior Blues are having none of it. Right up the middle. The tackle that time made by the front 3 for Washburn Rural. They've been busy so far in this one, but they make the stop. And now again, still dealing with a discrepancy. Second down showing on the scoreboard. It's now been announced as third down after a loss of 2 on the carry. So now our PA and our field officials have the same number. It is third down, 3rd and 4 from the 5-yard line for Manhattan.
Which means they still can get a first down, too.
Sharts back in at quarterback, wing left, now motions right, that's Reed. Sharts takes it, roll out right, blitz comes, throws for the corner, it is tipped up, Newby reaches for it and can't hold on, falling off to his left side, the ball drops incomplete, 4th down for the Indians.
Boy, they had the right idea on really on an out pattern, it looked like, Brendan, and I don't know if it was just a little too far out in front of Newby. Looks like he was not able to grab it and bring it in for the score.
So the 11th play of the drive is incomplete for Manhattan, a drive that has already taken up over 5 minutes of game time as all-league kicker Grant Snowden comes on the field. In this direction, he was making from 50 in pregame. This one's just a 22-yarder. Puts his right foot into it, gets it through the upright.
No.
It hits the upright and out! He is distraught on the field after the miss. It looked good initially, but it hits the upright and bounces out. So that's no good for Manhattan, and with 7:06 to go here in the first half, the Indians' lead stays just at 4, and they can't cash in on a 12-play drive.
Yeah, that's big as far as not being able to get that, and especially for someone reliable as Snowden on that play. Quick updates on scores. Emporia 7, Seaman 3, Junction City 19, Topeka High nothing. Lawrence High, early second quarter, leading St. Thomas Aquinas 20-7.
Washburn Rural takes over at its own 20-yard line with a first down and 10, 7:06 on the clock. Carlgren takes the snap on first down. It's a sprint option left, and we've got a flag. Usually when they stop the play that quickly, it's some sort of illegal procedure against the offense. Our officials dictating what the call is. It is a dead ball false start, indeed, against the offense. So back it up to first and 15 for Washburn Rural.
Fourth penalty, 22 yards for Washburn Rural.
Need to reach the 30-yard line to move the sticks. Williams and Boland, the receivers to the right. McKentis Adams to the right of the quarterback, Carlgren. So he barks out the signals, waits for it on first and 15. This time a quick roll out to the right. He fumbles the ball as he moves. He gets bumped immediately as he rolls right, and Manhattan takes over possession. Carlgren had the ball poked out as he sprinted out to his right. He can't dive back on it in time, and Manhattan, after coming away empty on its last possession, has another chance now, starting this possession at the Rural 11.
Looked like Tyshawn Jackson, they just, instead of going sprint option left, they went sprint option right, and it was able to pull the ball out and get the turnover, key turnover, back into the red zone. Manhattan on a first and 10.
Where have we heard this before? First and 10 from the 11-yard line. As Tate Brown runs onto the field for the Indians, play clock down to 9. Lorenzo Wilhoit, the running back to the left of Aschenbrenner, who's in at quarterback. Takes the snap, hands it off to Wilhoit, who tries running to the outside on a sweep. Breaks one tackle at the 7, continues fighting forward, keeps the legs churning, and gets down to the 2-yard line. 9-yard pickup off right guard that time for Wilhoit. Second down and 1 from the 2-yard line for the Indians.
That's just power right there. Keeping the legs churning, keeping the legs pumping, and that got Wilhoit at least an extra 3 yards as he was initially stopped around the 5 and then just carried the pile down to the 2.
This Rural defense has been on the field for a lot in this first half. One wide receiver spread out to the left side of the formation. That's Hahn for Manhattan. Aschenbrenner under center, takes the snap, quarterback keeper to the goal line. He powers through the offensive line and is stopped inside the 1-yard line. Rural has just enough resistance to keep Aschenbrenner out of the end zone. It's a 1.5 gain, which is enough for a first down. So it's first and goal from inside the 1-yard line for the Indians. 6:15 to go until the break. Manhattan trying to add on to its 7-3 lead.
Yeah, good penetration to get him stopped at the 1, but now fresh new set of downs, first and goal.
As the clock rolls here, it's now Schartz into the game at quarterback. Wilhoit behind him. Reed is wing left. 2 wide receivers right. Motion comes from Newby. Schartz keeps it, follows a push from his offensive line, and he's into the end zone right up the gut. Touchdown Manhattan, the first of the year for Schartz, and it is 13-3 Indians with 6:01 to go until the half.
Yeah, this time they did the same thing, put a man in motion, but still ended up being a quarterback sneak, and Schartz went between Alesna and Magana, his left guard and his center, and boy, got it in for the touchdown, his first one of the year.
And the kick team is out there for Manhattan. They start misaligned and then bring everyone back into a traditional extra point formation with Snowden on to kick, Aschenbrenner to hold. Snap is good. The hold is good. The kick this time by Snowden is up, and it is good as well. So with that extra point, that makes it 14-3 Manhattan over Washburn Rural. We'll take a timeout with the two teams as we set up for the next kick. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
Welcome back to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW. Manhattan kicking off after scoring its second touchdown of the game, cashing in from 1 yard out on a quarterback keeper by Keenan Sharts. And now Grant Snowden sends the ball away with Manhattan up 14-3. It's a kick with the wind at his back. It bounces into the end zone, and Washburn Rural will take over at its own 20-yard line. Half of the second quarter in the books. 6:01 officially on the clock.
Boy, now for Washburn Rural, taking care of the football, paramount for them, losing a turnover in the red zone, and Manhattan cashes in this time. So 2 turnovers by Washburn Rural, that one leading to points.
Carlgren fumbled on the first play of the last drive. He's in a quarterback here with 2 wide receivers to the right. Ball centered between the hashes. Adams is running back behind him. Carlgren takes it, fakes the handoff, swing pass to the outside. It's Amir Sabarini with the catch at the 20-yard line. He's grabbed by the ankles and brought down after a short game. Colby Kleiman makes the stop. 5'8" safety comes up, makes the ankle tackle, and it's a short gain of 2 on the first down completion for Rural. Ball at the 22-yard line now, moves from the center of the field to the near right hash. Junior Blues moving from left to right across your radio dial. Now 2 wide receivers stacked to the right. It's Williams and Sabarini. Still Adams in the backfield, Bolin in the slot left. Carlgren takes it, pumps once. Blitz comes from the left side. He gets out of it once, has to step back up, trying to fight his way through the defenders. He works his way back to the original line of scrimmage. That will count as a sack. And who else? It's Damian Alalio in there making the play. He's the last one off the pile for Manhattan, the future K-State Wildcat with the stop. It is now 3rd down and 10 for the Junior Blues, trailing by 11 with just over 5 minutes to go until halftime.
Oh, they had all sorts of pressure against Carlgren. As soon as he turned, boy, he had to go right into scramble mode, and lucky to get it up where he did, back to where the original line of scrimmage.
2-by-2 wide receiver set. Quick swing pass out to McKentis Adams. It is a forward pass, but behind the line, they will rule that a backwards pass. Carlgren tried to move that ball forward with his arm angle, but he throws it directly to the side. That is a lateral, and it's a huge loss for the Junior Blues, all the way back to their own 9-yard line. Another miscue by the offense for Rural. It's a loss of 11 on the botched swing pass, and it's 4th down and forever for Steve Bueller's group.
Boy, that went absolutely nowhere. Boy, you're doing a swing pass like that, you got to make sure it's going forward like that, and you could tell almost by the angle it was going backwards. Now they got to be careful on this snap, too.
Last snap to Smoot did go high as the punter gets ready for it. Good snap this time. Rugby style, right-footed kick. Gets it off. Sidewinder. That will bounce at the 31-yard line of Rural and take a Manhattan hop back inside the 30. Tremendous field position coming for the Indians. It's marked off at the 27-yard line. That's a punt of just 18 yards.
Boy, Brendan, it's paramount now that the Wild Bunch defense come up with something, as Manhattan now knocking on the door once again. Great field position for this Manhattan offense.
Aschenbrenner in at quarterback on 1st down for the Indians. 2 wide receivers split out wide to the right. Reed in motion. Aschenbrenner hands it to Will Hoyt. Will Hoyt bounces to the right side. Now turns it back upfield to the 25. Gets to the 20. Carries the defender with him. The ball pops out late, but they rule him down. Will Hoyt kept the legs churning, got all the way up to the 17-yard line. That's a gain of enough for a 1st down. Yeah, they'll mark him just a hair inside the 17. So a gain of 10 on 1st down for Will Hoyt. The ball popped out after the tackle. So another 1st and 10 with 4:20 to go in the first half. Aschenbrenner in the gun. Another handoff to Will Hoyt. Again, sweeping to the right. Gets a helmet right in the chest. Turns around. Keeps on running backwards inside the 10. Down to the 8. That's another 9 yards for Will Hoyt, who is back with a vengeance in his first game returning to the roster for the Indians. As some fresh bodies check back in for Rural. Tristan Botts, the senior, heads off the field for another senior, the starter Eric Schnurr, trying to keep that line as fresh as possible because they have taken a beating so far in this first half. Manhattan now with the ball in the far right hash, facing a 2nd down and 1, 3:35 on the clock. Snap to Sharts, give to Aschenbrenner. Aschenbrenner ahead to the nearly 5-yard line, and the whistle is blown. as he gets thrown backwards. Forward progress will take him to the 5. That's 3 yards, which is enough for a first down for the Indians. First down and goal, already up by 11. Greg, you just mentioned it, but this defense needs to hold strong here, but the fatigue has to be setting in after being on the field for so many plays.
Yeah, it's just they've had to come out there, which is why they're trying to rotate bodies in, because he knows they're getting beat down, especially along that defensive front.
Tate Brown in at receiver for Manhattan. He's out on the numbers on the far side, or the near side, wide left. Schartz in the gun. Will Hoyt to his left as Reed goes in motion. Schartz hands it to Will Hoyt, makes one cut back up the middle, fights through. The ball pops out again. There are bodies all over it. Rural says they have it. The Junior Blues are celebrating because they do have it. Washburn, Rural, and the Wild Bunch defense come through again inside the 5-yard line. 3 minutes even to go in the first half, and the Junior Blues get it back.
Well, there was a whole conglomeration down there, Brendan, but that ball popped out. And Washburn, Rural, boy, that might be, you mark that down, it might be the biggest turnover of the game, not being able to score. That's really 2 of those 3 possessions they were not able to score, Brendan. So this lead, which is just 14-3, could easily be much bigger for Manhattan.
That's a game-saving kind of play. The Junior Blues do take over at their own 2-yard line, though, with a first down and 10. They come out heavy. Full house pistol set. Carlgren on first down will hand it off up the middle. Fager trying to move the pile. He gets maybe a full yard if the official spot is generous. Elalio in on the stop. He has been busy here in the first. They will give him 1 yard, so tack another one on for Fager with that carry. Second down and 9. Clock continues to wind. 2:35 left in the second period. Junior Blues trailing 14-3. Still trying to get out of the shadow of their own goal line. Once again, full house pistol set. Carlgren barks out some signals. Now will pull back and check with his line. Waits for the new play. Gives instructions to everyone who's lined up with the 3-person backfield. Carlgren again takes it. Spins around, handoff to Fager. Fager tries angling to the right through a hole, but the linebacking core for Manhattan is right there. Excellent stop that time. Zach Hershey comes up from his defensive back spot to help out with the tackle. No gain on the carry. Third down and 9 with under 2 minutes to go here in the half for the Junior Blues.
Now what do you do here? If you try to throw, remember, if there's a hold in the end zone, that would constitute a safety. So you have to look for several things. Option-wise, you try to get something to the outside. You let Carlgren keep it. So far, nothing has worked as far as going in between the tackles with Fager.
Play clock is down to 13. Rural is not even pretending they want to get set here, and eventually a couple bodies go down. Play clock now down to 6, down to 5. Still in the full house. Minute 17 to go. Play clock to 2. They eventually snap it to Carlgren. He gives it off up the middle again. Fager carries it. This time he gets some yardage up to the 7-yard line. That's a 4-yard pickup. Not enough for the first down. And strategically, Joe Schartz and Manhattan used their final timeout of the first half to stop the clock with 68 seconds.
Yeah, it's smart timeout. Knowing they're going to have to punt the football. Knowing they got good, really good field position on the previous punt. They still have 1 timeout remaining. 68 seconds left to go. It almost makes you wonder, though, would they try to go for the block here?
Rural is going to have to punt this one from inside the end zone, so a tough situation for Dayton Smoot. It is a little bit breezy here tonight in southwest Topeka. Not super gusty, but enough that it has played a role here in this first half. Smoot will wait for the snap about 6 yards deep in the end zone. Indians leading by 11, 14-3, just over a minute to go. Ty Jackson is back to return. He's got his heels parked at the 40-yard line. The last punt for Smoot was just 18 yards. So he gets ready for this one. Manhattan not showing an all-out rush on the kick here, but there are 9 bodies near the line. Smoot has a one-man shield in front of him. Now about 7 yards deep in the end zone. Calls for the snap. He gets it, has some room, puts his toe into the point of the ball and gets it away. It is high and it bounces at the 37-yard line and stays in bounds near the near sideline, rolling all the way to the 46 of Washburn Rural and dying out there. 38 yards on the kick by Smoot, and we've got a flag back near the line of scrimmage. So if it stands, a decent punt by Smoot.
If it's against Manhattan of a 5-yard variety, they would not get the first down.
They pick up the flag.
Okay.
And that is going to be the end of that. So with
maybe
56,
holding. Oh.
A hold against Manhattan. That is an automatic first down for the Junior Blues. Unless they're going to... Okay, so eventually we'll get this sorted out. They're going to tack the hold on to the kick. So it was a holding after the kick was gone. That is what the penalty is for. So essentially what you would normally see on a return if there had been.
Yep.
So we've eventually got that sorted out here. So Manhattan gets backed up to its own 45-yard line with 56 seconds to go. First down, Schartz in the pistol. He tosses it to the back. Aschenbrenner with a running back pass deep for Joe Hall at the left numbers, and he just overshoots him beyond the 15-yard line. It was Landon McEwen in coverage. Hall had a step, but Aschenbrenner put a little too much air under the ball, and it falls incomplete over the head of his intended target. 2nd and 10 Manhattan.
Boy, that was a great call, and boy, they had it right where they wanted it, too. Aschenbrenner just threw it a little too far, and I mentioned earlier, Manhattan had one timeout. They actually took their last timeout, so they have 50 seconds left and no timeouts left.
Yeah, took that right before that punt. Kyler Hahn and Lorenzo Wilhoit check back in for Manhattan with a 2nd and 10, 50 seconds to go until the break. Aschenbrenner at quarterback, Wilhoit to his left. The left is the short side of the field. 2 receivers in a wing to the right. Aschenbrenner straight drop. Pressure comes. He tosses off a screen, completes it. Joe Hall spins out of one tackle, but he's way back behind the line of scrimmage. A tremendous stop by the Washburn Rural defense. And now a timeout by the Junior Blues. A strategic timeout taken after a huge tackle for loss. Dropped all the way back at the 37-yard line. A loss of 8 on the screen.
Boy, David Dean was the first one to hit Joe Hall, and after that, Joe Hall spun around, and then 2 or 3 other Washburn Rural defenders of the Wild Bunch able to get the tackle for a huge loss. 40 seconds left, 2 timeouts for Washburn Rural, and another variation, but another screen by Manhattan, knowing that they're putting on so much pressure, being able to get someone there, this time more of a wide receiver screen versus a running back screen. But nonetheless, now you're facing a 3rd and long, more than likely a passing situation.
And that was a phenomenal defensive play there by the second level,
play.
Greg, for Washburn Rural to not allow that big, wide open, gaping hole that they have allowed a couple of times so far in this first half. As Manhattan is taking up every second it can in its timeout huddle on the far sideline. Rural already back out on the field. 40 seconds to go in the second quarter. Manhattan with a 14-3 lead and the ball at its own 37-yard line following an 8-yard loss on a screen pass to the wide receiver Joe Hall, who maybe should have stayed in the first tackle. Aschenbrenner is the quarterback. Pardon me, that's Schartz. Aschenbrenner is the deep running back. Now Mason Reed comes in motion. Schartz hands it off to Aschenbrenner, who goes up the middle, fights through a couple of arm tackles, gets back past the 40-yard line up to the 43, and another timeout called by Washburn Rural. 35 seconds on the clock after that 3rd and long run, and the Indians will have to punt it away to the Junior Blues.
Once again, the Wild Bunch doing its job, holding them down. Boy, Manhattan, Brendan, Joe Schartz is going to look back at this first half and missed opportunities as far as being down in the red zone and not getting any points. They at least had 2 opportunities to get points inside the 10-yard line.
During this timeout, let's take a break for station identification. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
Coming up at halftime, we'll also have a performance by the Hanson Blues.
You are listening to 580 WIBW AM Topeka and FM News 104.9. Brendan Dworzinski and Greg Akagi with you. Manhattan leads Washburn Rural on tonight's Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week by a margin of 14-3. Washburn Rural has one more timeout and will get the ball following a punt from Manhattan, which could not capitalize with a late possession, already up 11. Aschenbrenner back to punt. Robbie Bolin, the return man for Washburn Rural, standing in his own 22. Aschenbrenner gets his right boot into it. A high spiraling kick. Fair catch called for at the 18. Bolin has to go down to the ground to haul it in. They'll actually give him the 19-yard line is officially where he caught it. A good punt that time. About 38 yards on the boot for Aschenbrenner. 29 seconds to play until halftime. Junior Blues do have one timeout, and they trail 14-3.
Boy, they got to give Carlgren more time to throw the football. The times attempts he's had, he's just 2 of 3 passing for 6 yards.
Sixth drive of the first half coming up for Washburn Rural. They don't have much time to work with here, trailing by 2 scores. Do have one timeout, though. Wing and receiver right, 2 wide receivers, wide side left. Carlgren in the pistol. Hands it off to McKentis Adams, and Adams runs right into a defender. That's Talik Houston, the linebacker, who came up and made a play right at the line. That's a gain of 1 for Adams, and Washburn Rural seems content to take this one into halftime, trailing by 11. It is a one-play drive, the final seconds ticking off the game clock here, down to 8, down to 7, down to 6. And Rural, which only scored once, it was able to get 3 points on its first drive of the game, go scoreless the rest of the first half, and trails Manhattan by a margin of 14-3 as we head into halftime. That'll take us to our halftime show. When we come back after this 2-minute break, we'll get you a scoring summary and drive summary from the first half. Greg Akagi will have a statistical recap for you, and we'll get you some other scores from around Topeka and Northeast Kansas tonight. That's coming up in 2 minutes. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to
Ball on the second down carry. Washburn Rural comes up with the ball inside the 30-yard line, and the Junior Blues right away with the takeaway. The Wild Bunch defense steps up instantly, just 38 seconds into the game, and the Junior Blues take over just outside the red zone. That was one of two significant takeaways for the Washburn Rural defense in the first half. They trailed by a margin of 14-3. But without those two fumble recoveries and fumbles forced, it could have been a much different story in that first 24 minutes. Welcome back to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week here on 580 WIBW. Brendan Dworzinski and Greg Akagi with you. As I mentioned, Manhattan leads by 11 at the break, 14-3. We'll recap the scoring for you from that first half. Not a ton of scoring plays. The game started Manhattan with the ball, and they turned it over on just their second play of the game. A fumble deep in their own territory, as you just heard in our highlight. Washburn Rural was able to take over, and a 7-play drive later, it was Giles Fredrickson, an all-league caliber kicker, who was able to kick it through from 23 yards out after the drive stalled in the red zone, and the Junior Blues were able to take an early 3-0 lead. Manhattan, though, would answer on its next drive in the first quarter. Just 5 plays later, they go 80 yards down the field in less than 2 minutes, and it was the Dane Aschenbrenner show. He touches the ball on all 5 plays on the drive, including a 23-yard screen pass and run, and then a 35-yard run to pay dirt. That made it 7-3. Manhattan with the lead over Washburn Rural. The rest of the half offensively for the Junior Blues did not go as they had hoped. No set of offensive plays longer than 4 drives. The rest of the first half, a 4-drive play ending in a punt, their longest one in the rest of the opening 24 minutes, as well as 2 fumbles, one of which was lost on their third possession of the game. Manhattan also would take advantage of a special teams miscue in this one. Following their touchdown, they kicked it right off the back of the upman Devin Jones for Washburn Rural. Manhattan took over but had to punt on the drive after a good stand by the Junior Blue defense. However, Manhattan, its next time out, a long drive started with just about a minute and a half to go in the first quarter. They go 12 plays, 6.5 minutes off the clock, but they come away with no points after missing a field goal. However, it was right after that, the turnover by Washburn Rural. Cooper Carlgren can't hold on to the ball as it's poked away from behind on an outside run. It's recovered by Manhattan at the 11-yard line. 3 plays later, the Indians would cash in from 1 yard out, and a Keenan Shart's rushing touchdown. That was what got our score to 14-3. That is how the half effectively ended. Washburn Rural would force another fumble. You hear that highlight coming up at the end of, or at the start, I should say, of our next segment here on our halftime coverage. But that did it for the scoring. A lot of defense dominating in this one so far. Manhattan leads Washburn Rural by a score of 14-3. With all the scoring accounted for, let's go to my partner Greg Akagi for the statistical recap from the first half.
Brendan, statistically, well, what you thought it was, where Manhattan held the ball much longer than Washburn Rural. Manhattan, 27 rushes, 144 yards. Combined between Keenan Shartz and Dylan Aschenbrenner, 4 or 6 passing for 50 yards. So overall, 33 total plays, 194 yards of offense. For Washburn Rural, 15 rushes for 30 yards. Cooper Carlgren, not a lot of passing, just 2 or 3 passing for just 6 yards. So 18 total plays for 36 yards overall. Manhattan, it was a 2-pronged attack. Dylan Aschenbrenner, 15 carries, 97 yards. Lorenzo Wilhoit, his first action of the season, 7 rushes for 48 yards. Aschenbrenner also has 2 of the receptions from Keenan Shartz for 25 yards. Tate Brown on a big one as well, a 33-yard reception. And for Washburn Rural, boy, they just haven't been able to get anything going offensively. Austin Fager, 7 rushes, 19 yards. Cooper Carlgren, 4 rushes for 27 yards overall in the contest. Let's run over some scores that we do have. Late second quarter, Hayden leading Santa Fe Trail 42-0. I'm going to confirm this on another score. We had it earlier that Emporia was leading Seaman 7-3, but we have a different score now. As far as the Vikings, one score we do have is that Seaman now leading Emporia 28-3. That game getting close to coming to halftime. Second quarter, DeSoto leading Shawnee Heights 21-14. Atchison leading Baser Lingwood 20-15 that game in the second quarter. Rock Creek leading Jeff West 34-0 that game in the second quarter. Have actually another updated score in that Seaman Emporia game, 42-3. Seaman leading Emporia at halftime. Linden beating Shawnee Heights 35-0. And that game that game at half. Perry Lecompton beating Osawatomie 30-0 that game second quarter. Riverside leading Atchison 16-0 that game in the second quarter. Actually, an update on the DeSoto Shawnee Heights game, 28-14. DeSoto leads at halftime. And the big game of the night, Lawrence High and St. Thomas Aquinas. That game has gone to the half. Lawrence High 20, St. Thomas Aquinas 14. Other scores, second quarter, Junction City 33, Topeka High nothing. Eudora, second quarter, leading Ottawa 21-3. Big Seven battle tonight. Holton shutting out Hiawatha 34-0. That game in the second quarter as well. Bishop Ward leading Baldwin 14-0. That game in the first quarter. Burlingame and Valley Falls last score we had, they were tied overall in their contest. And let's see if I've got any other scores here.
Greg, did you get us an update on the Rock Creek game? Rock Creek Jeff West?
Rock Creek.
We have a 41-6 lead for Rock Creek.
That was a further update from what I had. At half, Eudora leading Ottawa 21-3. That Centralia Beloit game, by the way, Brendan, that was one that actually was put together today because Centralia and Beloit each had different opponents, but they had to cancel because of COVID concerns. So they put that game together literally at the last minute. And Centralia showing why they're the number one team in Class 2A with a big lead over Beloit so far tonight.
Also important to note, you had the score Hayden over Santa Fe Trail 42-0 in that game. Perry Lecompton leading its game 30-0. Those two teams, Hayden and Perry, they will take on each other next week in a game we'll have right here on 580 WIBW. More about that game coming up a little bit later in our post-game show. First, we'll take a time out here on halftime coverage of our Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week. When we come back, we'll get Jake's take on the first half, and we'll also get keys to the second half from Greg. That is up next. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW. first, it's Manhattan with its first lead of the game at 6-3. Dane Aschenbrenner scoring the first touchdown of the game. It puts Manhattan up by a margin of 7-3. They lead at halftime here on our Invista Credit Union 580 Preps game of the week over Washburn Rural by a margin of 14-3. Let's welcome in our third member of our broadcast team here at Bowen Glaze Stadium at Washburn Rural High School, Jake Laban, for his thoughts on the first half.
You got to credit the Wild Boys defense. They're keeping them in this. Huge caused forced fumble recovery at the goal line. That's making this just a two-possession game for the Washburn Rural Junior Blues. Offensively, you'd like to see them get Adams going a little bit, but the Manhattan defensive front so good and so experienced. So right now, if you are Steve Bueller, I think you might try throwing the football a little bit more just because of how good that defensive front four is. But I think you're going to need a turnover again by the Wild Boy defense, hopefully somewhere on the Manhattan side of the territory, because right now it's a tough go for the Washburn Rural offense. I would like to see them maybe throw it, and if not, try to get Adams out to the edge and have him use his speed. Wind-wise, again, it is absolutely gorgeous here on October 9th for a football game. 70 degrees right now here in the Washburn Rural School District area. Again, the wind coming from the south-southeast, dying down a little bit, not as windy as it was when we started this game at 7 o'clock.
Appreciate that, Jake. And yeah, Greg, it really was those two fumble recoveries enforced by Washburn Rural that's keeping the Junior Blues in this game. And we remarked on it on the last Manhattan drive. That defense has to be as tired as all get out, but they held tough as best as they could.
Yeah, and it's one that, and especially now, Washburn Rural will get the ball to start the second half. You got to remember that. What do they do right off the bat? Do they do like Jake said? Do they come out and maybe throw the ball a little bit more, knowing that defensive front is really not allowing anything run-wise in between the tackles? They haven't run a lot outside of the tackles as of yet today as well. And I think Jake is right, though. I think you got to mix in a little more pass. Only 3 pass attempts by Carlgren. You know, the one time he tried to go to the outside on that pass, he was just abused with that defensive front right in his grill as soon as he turned around to be able to do anything. So if the Wild Bunch is able to keep doing what they are doing, that's going to be big. But they got to get help offensively. And I think right out of the chute with only 3 points, and that was off of the turnover where they had a chance to score and get off to that good start, he's got to be looking for better consistency right off the bat here to start the second half.
And I would have to imagine as well that starts up front. That starts with the offensive line.
Absolutely.
Because there have been a number of plays so far where they have tried running, even a couple of times where it appeared there was a hole. McKentis Adams had one near the end of the second quarter. It looked like he had a hole off to the right, and the defense was right there. Talik Houston plugged the hole immediately and shut it all down. That offensive line has to create a little more time for protection, whether they're running more or passing.
The amazing thing when we're up here, Brendan, is you can see who gets the better push, that offensive line or the defensive line. And a lot of times what we have seen, Brendan, is that defensive line a yard or two already into the backfield, which means they're getting that better push up front. And they know that the Hoss is up front. That's got to change for Washburn Rural to have success, to give Carlgren more time, and that way it opens up the playbook too.
It's been a lot of linebacker support too for the defensive line for Manhattan, which is a great group. We've talked a lot about Ilalio and O'Connell, who was an All-State honorable mention last season as a junior, and then Deshaun Edwards as well, another junior, the youngest member of that starting three. But they've had help up front. Jackson Vikander had a tackle for loss in that first half. We called Talik Houston's name several times defensively. They have been able to plug up those holes, and the size difference is minuscule at best. The Manhattan defensive line averages 6 foot 260. The offensive line for Washburn Rural 6 foot 249. So it's almost negligible, the difference in size, but so far it has just been that initial push that frankly has kind of shut down this whole rural offense.
Yeah, and especially if you can't get one part of your offense going, how do you expect to get that other part of that offense going? And where it is, do you want to run first, open up the pass, or are you forcing yourself to pass because you can't do the run? That's the question for Steve Bueller out there. Now, let's flip that around. Let's go over to Joe Schartz's side. He sees the scoreboard 14-3, where it easily could have been 28-3, and you're feeling a lot more comfortable as you head into the second half. So They are up, but he's frustrated because of the fact that he probably knows they should have 2 more touchdowns too.
I mean, you could even make the argument, Greg, it could be even more than that because you have the fumble inside the red zone, inside the 5-yard line. You turn it over right before the end of the first half. You have the missed field goal, which cost you at least 3 points, but not cashing in. You couldn't get more than that either. And in the first quarter, they kick the ball off of an up man for Washburn Rural and recover the kick on the loose ball. They had to punt on that drive. So this is not a familiar situation for Manhattan. This is usually the team that takes advantage of everyone else's mistakes and wins a bunch of games. They haven't quite had that edge to them this year, which has helped Washburn Rural tonight, but now the Junior Blues have to start making some plays for themselves.
And your 2 leaders, Carlgren and Aschenbrenner, each have had a fumble tonight. Carlgren at the quarterback slot, Aschenbrenner at the running back slot as well. So they have both made mistakes tonight as far as not taking care of the football as well. So in one way, it's going to be who may make less mistakes as far as taking care of the football and doing things to get into the end zone instead of having a penalty or having a turnover or coming up short like they did.
This is a significant game in the Centennial League standings as the postseason gets closer and closer, and we get closer to naming a league champion. Rural and Manhattan both came into this one tied in 5th place in the league standings at 1-2 on the year. Not sure they'll be able to catch Junction City, which is 4-0 and cruising past Topeka High tonight. Seaman right behind them at 3-1. Washburn Rural trying to bounce back from their 3-6 year last year, and they're getting close. They've had some moments, but now a big second half, not just for this game, but for this season for Rural.
Let's get a couple of updated scores. Hayden at halftime leading Santa Fe Trail 49-0. Listen to this score. At halftime, Highland Park 38, Topeka West 18. That game is at the half. Highland Park, 54 straight losses, looking to get that win, to get that 1 W to be in there. Junction City at the half, leading Topeka High 40-0. Another big game. Not a lot of people talking about this one, but number 1 team in 4A, Bishop Miege at Wamego. It's 21-14, Bishop Miege over Wamego at halftime.
Wamego playing tough in that one. That is a significant score, though, for Highland Park. It has been a long time since Park has been, frankly, super competitive in a lot of games, and that's been a rivalry game at Hummer Sports Park for years now that Topeka West has dominated over Highland Park. The 54-game losing streak, as you mentioned, for the Scots. If that score holds, that would be a tremendous moment for a Highland Park team that's trying to bounce back under head coach Mike Forstier. That will do it for our halftime coverage here on the Vista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week. We'll take a timeout, come back, have second half action for you. You're listening to 580 WIBW.
We've treated patients from Dolphin.
Welcome back to Bowen Glaze Stadium. Brendan Dworzinski and Greg Akagi with you. Our field reporter tonight is Jake Laban. And our producer-engineer back at the Alpha Media Studios is Marco Marquez. Manhattan with the lead over Washburn Rural 14-3 as we get prepared for the third quarter. Rural will start the second half with the ball. However, Greg, we talked about having a good start in the first half, and Rural did. They get the takeaway. They get 3 points, take an early lead. Things sort of stalled out after that. Now, starting with the ball here in the second half, what is going to be the key to getting out to a quick start for the Junior Blues?
I think getting points. Let's cut into that lead early. Even if it's a field goal, cut into that lead. Make it 14-6. Make it 14-10. Now, they haven't had a really good sustained drive as of yet, so that's of a concern. But I think if you can get points right off the bat, that would be big, and get that momentum. Start to get that momentum back and be able to carry that in, because the further along it goes, the less and less time here. Manageable deficit right now at 11. You just got to wait and see what they're going to be able to do. But I think let's see what adjustments, Brendan, that they made here at halftime to see if they can start to free up this offense a little more, to get a little more of a sustained drive that they haven't had in the first half.
Longest drive of that opening half for Rural, 7 plays. They started at the 28-yard line, stalled out with a 23-yard field goal attempt. Junior Blues have an opportunity here to improve to 3-3 on the season. They have not been at 500 since the very start of the year, before even week 1. They dropped their first 2 games of the season, so they're trying to get back to 500. Manhattan trying to do the same. This is the first year since 2015 that the Indians have lost more than 2 games. Also the first time since that year they've lost 2 games in a row. Did that in weeks 2 and 3 against Hayden and against Seaman.
The flip side of that, too, is how much are they going to try to do outside of the tackles? Because you didn't see a lot from Washburn Rural outside of the tackles in that first half. Now, how do they do that? Do they try to incorporate Adams more versus trying to run Fager inside in between the tackles?
They tried to go with the power running game a lot early on and didn't work much. We're about to find out what Steve Bueller did to change the game plan here for the second half. 12 minutes on the clock in the third quarter. Manhattan with a 14-3 lead kicking off to start this second half. Robbie Bolin and Josh Williams deep to return for the Washburn Rural Junior Blues. Grant Snowden gets ready to kick, approaches the 40, and sends the kick away with the wind at his back. End over end, it flies into the end zone for a touchback. So Washburn Rural will start this third quarter from its own 20-yard line. Here comes the starting quarterback, senior Cooper Carlgren.
Carlgren, 4 carries, 27 yards in the first half, but as we mentioned, just 2 of 3 passing. There were just 2 quick hitters on first down plays, one to Robbie Bolin and one to Amir Sabarini.
First down and 10 for the Junior Blues, moving from left to right across your radio dial. Carlgren in the gun, empty set. Tight ends left, 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right as well. Carlgren takes it, short drop, throws back to the outside, and Williams tucks back inside, makes the catch low and away. Grabs it for a 4-yard gain up to the 24-yard line on the far hash. So right away, Greg, we talked about that with Jake during halftime, passing the ball a little bit more, maybe try to get the quarterback in some rhythm here early in the third.
That not really looks like they're going to go empty backfield once again.
Williams, who made that last catch, is now in the slot to the right. That's the wide side of the field. Ball on the far left hash. Carlgren in the gun. Once again, just a one-step drop. Throws it to Williams. It hits him in the hands. He had green grass in front of him in about every direction for 4 yards. Throw is a little off to the left, and he can't haul it in. So instead of a second and short, maybe even a first down, it's 3rd and 6 for Washburn Rural, trailing by 11 with 11:21 left in the third.
I know that was high, but you have to go up with 2 hands. If you're going to try to high point it, you got to do it with 2 hands versus just knocking away with 1.
Empty set for Rural on 3rd and 6. Pump fake to the right. Carlgren looks deep down the field. Down the middle, he's got Bolin. Turns around and makes the catch at midfield. His momentum carries him down to the 47-yard line. Robbie Bolin, the deep threat for the Junior Blues, comes through. Big gain into Manhattan territory. First down, Rural.
29 yards on the reception. Just that slight pump was able to free Bolin up a little bit. Bolin went up, though. Nice catch once again.
Junior Blues going air raid here in the third quarter. Carlgren empty set again, throws to the right sideline. It's Bolin again inside the 40, spins through a tackle and gets to the 37-yard line. 10 more yards. That should be enough for another Junior Blue first down.
Yeah, let's see where they mark it. 11 yards.
So they will mark it off as enough for the first down. Ball supplanted right on top of the 37-yard line, and Washburn Rural hurries back to the line. Same formation, 2 wide receivers, wide side left. Carlgren pumps once, will carry it, goes up the middle, rolls over a tackler, and gets down inside the 30-yard line. Cooper Carlgren with the hard-nosed run up to the 28, a gain of 9 on the first down carry, setting up a second down and short with about a minute and a half off the clock here in the third.
Yeah, he did a little sidestep before he took it forward on that draw and found the open hole, though, with just that little hesitation, and got the 9-yard gain.
2 receivers and a tight end, wide side left. Carlgren, empty set. 3-step drop, looks right, will keep it again. This time he's swallowed up in the backfield, though. A group of Manhattan Indians there to make the stop, led by defensive end Deshaun Edwards. Back at the 30-yard line. It's a loss of 2, pushing it back to third down and 3 yards to go for the Junior Blues.
Boy, now big play here in this drive with the 3rd and 4.
Carlgren looks. Drops, throws Williams in the slot to the left, who makes a juke move on Hershey and gets up inside the 22-yard line. That's the line to gain, and he is marked at the 21. That's enough for a Washburn Rural first down, a gain of just enough to move the sticks.
Gain of 10 on the play, getting it to the 31-yard line, 1st and 10. Boy, that's a big third down conversion, too.
And now we've got a whistle and a referee stoppage to reset the play clock. 9:45 on the game clock here in the third. Manhattan with a 14-3 lead, but they're on their heels defensively as Washburn Rural charges down the field. Carlgren pumps right, keeps again, gets spun down as he plunges ahead toward the offensive line. No gain on the carry for Carlgren.
Elalio with the tackle that time. Kept him within his grasp, and no gain for Carlgren.
The senior quarterback came into this game, 4 touchdown passes on the year. He was sacked 4 times last week. He's been hit a bunch tonight, but is staying up, staying tough. 2nd and 10 for Rural. Ball on the far left hash. Carlgren, 3-step drop. Looking, pressure comes from his blind side. He has to turn it up and run, and he runs right into a wall of defenders. He may have gotten back to the original line of scrimmage if he's lucky, and it looks like that is where he's marked. So with over 3 minutes gone now in the third quarter, no gain again for Carlgren, and it's third down and long for the Junior Blues. Last time they had one of these on this series, though, Greg, they converted for 29 yards through the air.
Yeah, watch Bolin, who split out to the far right, and receiver split to the far left as well.
Empty set on the 10th play of the drive. Carlgren, short drop, fades right. Pressure comes, and he just has to eat it and go down to the turf. A tremendous push that time up front by Manhattan, and who else but the future Kansas State Wildcat, Damon Elalio, burst through the line and will get credit for the sack all the way back at the 34-yard line.
Boy, nothing they could do there. Third sack, for Manhattan.
4th down and 21 now for Washburn Rural. They're going for it from the 34. Have to get all the way up to the 13-yard line. Carlgren pumps right, looking for time. He has to tuck and run as pressure comes. He's able to get decent yardage up inside the 20, gets bumped down inside the 15-yard line, and he is marked just a little bit shy of what he needed for the first down.
Was there a flag?
The referees are convening down near the sideline. Our view is obscured by the Washburn Rural sideline contingent. But there are flags indeed laying on the turf. This could determine what's up next for the Junior Blues as we wait for our official ruling on the penalty. Both teams waiting with bated breath for this one. 7:52 on the clock here in the third quarter. Manhattan up by 11, 14-3.
Looks like the referee talking with Joe Schartz.
Waiting for the call. And it is a personal foul blindside block against Washburn Rural. It's declined because Rural did not have enough yardage on the run by Carlgren to the outside. A valiant effort, but he comes up a couple yards shy on the run. So instead of reaching the 13-yard line, Manhattan will take over at about the 14. 1 yard shy for Carlgren, although even if he had gotten there, it might not have counted due to the penalty.
But good movement, even though they didn't score, did move the ball offensively.
First down and 10 for Manhattan, 7:52 on the clock in the third. Ball at Manhattan's 15-yard line or so, and on the first down carry, they go up the middle and nothing doing. In fact, a loss of a few yards. That'll back Manhattan all the way back up to the 12-yard line. 5.5 minutes on the clock here in the third quarter, and the Junior Blues make a nice push on first down.
Yeah, Sharts getting the start at quarterback in the second half as well, as Aschenbrenner took that first carry.
Wing left, switches to the right. That's Mason Reed, turns upfield. Keenan Sharts, quick throw to Reed, and the ball is tipped at the line. Ty Weber, the linebacker, who made multiple big plays in the first half, gets his left paw up there and bats a pass away. Mason Reed was all alone at about the 20-yard line, and that tip may have saved a humongous play.
Yeah, they blew the coverage there because Reed was, as you mentioned, wide open. But that tip caused the ball to go astray. Now, can the Wild Bunch take advantage of it, though? 3rd and 11 with Manhattan backed up on their own 12.
The Rural defense, affectionately known here at Washburn Rural as the Wild Bunch. They've already got 2 takeaways today on fumbles. Trailing by 11, they could use another turnover here. 3rd down and long for Manhattan. Sharts with it. Short roll right. Throwing deep down the right sideline, and the ball is intercepted by Rural. They do get the key takeaway along the far sideline. It's David Dean who comes up, makes the play. That's a turnover, and the Junior Blues are in business. 7:08 to go here in the third.
Jake, they had bracket coverage over on that side, and it looked like Sharts didn't see Dean, the defender, who got an easy interception.
That's what they needed. We said at the half, the key to this thing might be the defense setting up the offense, and right there, I mean, you're 4-down territory right now. I mean, forget the field goals right now, even though you can connect on them, but this is exactly what Rural's defense needed to do to set up their offense.
1st and 10 from the 23. Carlgren in the gun. Pressure comes. He spins out of a sack, turns it upfield, angling to the right. Gets down inside the 20-yard line, heads to the 10, puts his head down, gets a few extra yards. 1st down and goal, Washburn Rural, after the hard-nosed run by the quarterback Carlgren for a gain of 15 yards.
Pickup on a Junior Blue.
Cooper Carlgren now, 9 carries, 69 yards. Got a block from Bolin, even though there were 3 defenders. Bolin still able to get a block to spring him for a couple of extra yards.
69 yards rushing on the night for Carlgren. Entered this game with 84 for the season. 1st and goal from the 8. This time it's a designed keeper. Carlgren angles off tackle right, heads to the paint. Touchdown, Junior Blues! 6:39 to go in the third quarter, and Washburn Rural cuts it down to a 1-score game. 14-9, extra point coming.
Do you reckon that a message was sent? Cooper Carlgren has been running with purpose this second half, and boy, he caps it off with an 8-yard touchdown run, now 14-9.
The snap is down, the kick is up, and the kick is good by Giles Fredrickson. With that, it's a 4-point game, 14-10 Manhattan over Washburn Rural. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
I'm Marvin Spees with Capital City Oil.
An 8-yard touchdown run by Cooper Carlgren following an interception by the Washburn Rural defense has made this a 14-10 game. Manhattan still with the lead here on the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week. Washburn Rural kicks away. It's fielded by Ty Jackson for Manhattan at his own 20-yard line. Gets a block, gets through the hole in the return, and is able to take it all the way beyond the 40-yard line for the Indians. Up to the 43, Tyjon Jackson with the return, and will set up Manhattan with great field position. However, that is pending a penalty decision. There is a flag on the ground during the return.
Flag on the play.
Flag is placed down at the 47-yard line. We've already had one penalty picked up in this game. The officials deliberating here. It is a hold during the return. That might have been a hold that opened up the hole for Jackson. So instead of the ball at the 43-yard line, make it the 33-yard line for the Indians. That's where they will start, leading by 4, 6:29 to go in the third.
Fourth penalty on the night, 45 yards for Manhattan.
So still decent field position for the Indians. First down for Manhattan. It's Aschenbrenner in at quarterback. Hands it off to Lorenzo Wilhoit, and Wilhoit runs off tackle to the right, gets around a bunch of defenders, and sprints his way up for a gain to the 44-yard line. A gain of 11 on 1st and 10. That will move the chains. Another first down now for Manhattan.
1st and 10, Manhattan high at their own 45.
Lorenzo Wilhoit, who hasn't played since a brief cameo in week 2, is tearing up this Washburn Rural run defense tonight. First down and 10 for the Indians. 2 wide receivers to the wide side of the field. That's to the left of the quarterback, Aschenbrenner. This time it's a handoff to Wilhoit. He sweeps to the left this time, gets up to midfield. Stutter step, gets to the 45, and is eventually spun down to the ground by cornerback Landon McEwen, but not before another gain for first down yardage. It's a pickup of 13 for Manhattan. Ball up to the 42-yard line for a first down.
Pickup for the Indians.
Well, you got a combination. Aschenbrenner, 96 yards rushing. Now Wilhoit up to 73 yards rushing on 9 carries for Wilhoit on 16 carries for Aschenbrenner.
Wilhoit had just 11 carries for 51 yards in the first 2 games of this season. He's making a statement here in week 6. 5:34 on the clock. Manhattan into Washburn Rural territory, leading the Junior Blues 14-10. Aschenbrenner in the gun. Wilhoit to his left. 1 wide receiver either side of the formation. Aschenbrenner this time will keep it, waits patiently for a hole. He's not going to get one. A group of Junior Blues pair up to make the tackle. Austin Fager and Ty Weber, the last 2 off the pile for the Junior Blues. A gain of 3 for Aschenbrenner. He was trying to pick his way for more, but he's going to be stopped there after the short gain.
Aschenbrenner trying to read the hole, but Washburn Rural plugging it up for that short gain.
Under 5 to play in the third period. Wing and 2 receivers to the right. Wilhoit flanking Aschenbrenner to the right. Sprint option in that direction. Toss to Wilhoit. Wilhoit looking for the corner at the 40. He gets stood up. Has to lunge ahead for some extra yardage. It was the outside linebacker Connor Conklin in contain. And is able to hold Wilhoit to a short gain to about the 40-yard line, right between the 40 and the 39. Maybe half a yard on the carry that time for Wilhoit. 3rd down and long for the Indians.
Yeah, good job of stretching out the field on that sprint option. Don't have to necessarily tackle him, but if you can stretch him sideline to sideline, you've done your job, and they only get about a half-yard gain.
Indians moving from right to left as you listen. Ball on the far right hash between the 40 and 39-yard line. 3rd and 8 officially. Aschenbrenner takes the snap, looking to pass. Pressure comes from Conklin. Aschenbrenner off his back foot, deep down the field. Hall goes up to catch it, and he is able to grab it all the way at the 11-yard line. There were 3 bodies in the area. Hall tucks the ball under his right arm and is able to haul it in for the big gain. What a catch by the junior wide receiver. The best receiving option for this Manhattan team comes down with the big gain. 1st and 10 for Manhattan.
Yeah, 29 yards. Aschenbrenner had to throw off of his back foot because of tremendous pressure, but to complete the play.
Snap to Aschenbrenner, handoff to the right side. Wilhoit cuts inside the 10 and is lassoed and pulled down at the 8. Gain of 4 yards. 2nd down and 6 now for the Indians. 7th play of the drive coming up. Manhattan can get a first down without scoring. The line to gain is about the 2. With 3:14 left in the quarter. 4-point lead for Manhattan. It's been the defense for Washburn Rural that has kept the Junior Blues in this game, and they need another big red zone stop here. Ball in the far right hash once again, play clock at 3. Aschenbrenner takes the snap, handoff, sweeping left, Will Hoyt. Will Hoyt looks for daylight on the corner, and he's wrestled out of bounds. Landon McEwen and Robbie Bolin able to escort him onto the boundary, but there is a flag on the play in the area of holding.
Yeah, it was on the backside as Will Hoyt was headed towards the sideline, really on that backside of the play. Right in... No, actually, yeah, it was behind the line of scrimmage. So, in essence, it's about a 12-yard penalty back to the 21.
Yeah, ball moved back quite a distance. That's a benefit for the Junior Blues. Still, the line to gain is the 2. Now, it's a 2nd down and 19 now for Manhattan. Loss of about 13 yards on the penalty. Schartzen at quarterback, hands to Aschenbrenner, who's got a gaping hole up the middle. It eventually closes down, but not before a gain of 9 up to the 12-yard line, the original line of scrimmage on this series.
That puts Aschenbrenner over the 100-yard mark. 18 carries, 108 yards for Aschenbrenner in the game.
Aschenbrenner has some explosion that he doesn't get to use quite as often when he's in at quarterback, but as a runner, he is able to torch defenses like he's done the last couple of weeks in that hybrid role. Now a 3rd down and 10 for Manhattan at the Washburn Rural 12-yard line, 2:08 on the clock. One wide receiver, isolated left. Snap to Schartz, fakes it to Aschenbrenner. He rolls right, looking for a target. Back at the 21-yard line, throws to the end zone. It's nearly picked off, but dropped. Davion Maltzby in coverage, had a beat on the ball and got a hand on it, but he couldn't pull it in.
Yeah, Maltzby jumped the pattern, and boy, he seemed so close to being able to pick that off, and he had a lot of open real estate if he was able to pick that off, but it forces Manhattan to go for the field goal. And remember, Snowden hit the left upright on his previous field goal attempt.
He missed a field goal from 22 yards out earlier. Now he's got a 29-yard attempt from the near left hash. Snowden with the kick, going for the uprights. This time he's able to knock it through with a pure kick. 1:55 to go in the 3rd quarter. Manhattan now leads Washburn Rural 17-10. We'll take a timeout with the teams. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
Again, fans, the concession stand is operated by our parent organization, the PCO Blues Backers.
This is Bill Snyder, former head football coach for Kansas State University and honorary chairman of the 580 WIBW Wildcat Challenge to tackle cancer. Cancer takes a toll on so many of us and our loved ones. Thanks to research, many people survive it, but more work is needed to save more lives. Kansas State University researchers are advancing.
Manhattan caps off a 9-play, 4-minute, 34-second drive with a 29-yard field goal to take a 17 lead over Washburn Rural on our Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week. And on the ensuing kickoff, Grant Snowden, who just added the 3 points, kicks it out of the end zone. That's a touchback, and once again, Washburn Rural will start a possession at its own 20-yard line. 1:55 to go in the 3rd quarter. Junior Blues down by 7.
Couple of updated scores. Late 3rd quarter, Lawrence High now leading or in ahead of St. Thomas Aquinas, 26-21. And early 4th quarter, Holton leading Hiawatha 53-0.
Cooper Carlgren, starting quarterback for Washburn Rural, back out on the field. He's got 2 wide receivers to the left of the formation with the ball centered between the hashes. 1 wide receiver, his deep threat Bolin, to the right. Man coverage across the board for the Indians. Now Josh Williams comes in motion from left to right as Carlgren takes the snap. He looks to his right. Now he'll tuck, try to run, and he's eaten up in the backfield. Great play that time by Darius O'Connell to wrap up Carlgren by the knees. That's a loss of 2 on the run. 2nd down and 12 coming up for Washburn Rural.
4th sack on the night by Manhattan. Boy, they give him enough time. They're trying to do a little further pattern down the field, not a quick hitter, and that's giving them all sorts of issues right now.
2nd and 12, empty set, snap to Carlgren, throws it underneath to Williams in the slot on the right, gets up past the 20 to the 23-yard line. That's a gain of 5, 3 yards beyond the original line of scrimmage, which makes this a 3rd down and 7 on the ensuing play for the Junior Blues. Williams has been busy today. Came into this one with just 59 yards receiving on the season. Ball now on the near right hash. Carlgren empty set, 3rd and 7. Pats the ball once. Looks to the right. He's going to run. Puts the moves on Talik Houston. Gets to the 30 for a 1st down and more. All the way up near the 40-yard line. Cooper Carlgren will get credit to the 41. How about 17 yards on the carry by the quarterback? Put a shimmy on the junior linebacker Houston near the sideline and sprinted ahead for a few extra yards.
Showed him he was going to go to the left, came back to the right, and got himself about 10 extra yards after that nice, nifty move.
Same formation, 50 seconds on the clock. Sprint out to the left by Carlgren. He may have slipped. He had nowhere to run, and he'll just eat it going down to the turf for another loss of 2 back to the 39-yard line.
I'm not sure what that call would have been. I don't know if they were looking at a sprint out pass to the left or if someone was supposed to come in on a sprint option, but it wasn't there, and he just went to the turf.
2 receivers left, 1 to the right, 1 tight end on either side of the formation as Carlgren takes the snap, rolls right, throws off his back foot, going deep down the field for Bolin, and Bolin's got it inside the 30! Robbie Bolin again right down the middle of the field for a huge gain into Manhattan territory, all the way down to the 25-yard line. 36 yards on the completion. Junior Blues in business, 14 seconds left in the 3rd.
36 yards on the play. Bolin almost throwing it from his back foot, and they're going to be content to head it into the 4th quarter, but driving, well, they might get one off here.
Game clock down to 1, down to 0. Carlgren tried to get the snap, but he couldn't. 1 more quarter to go. Put your 4 fingers up. We're headed to the 4th quarter. Manhattan with a 17-10 lead over Washburn Rural, but the Junior Blues are driving. We'll be back after this. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
I have a grandson in 8th grade, and we have already been discussing the possibilities of colleges. How much will it cost, and how do we save?
Welcome back to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW. 1 quarter left to play. Washburn Rural trailing Manhattan 17-10, but the Junior Blues are on the move. 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. Brendan Dworzinski and Greg Akagi with you in the booth. Thank you for joining us this evening for what's been a phenomenal 6A game tonight. 1st and 10, Junior Blues. Carlgren takes the snap, fakes a pass. He sprints out to the right, and he is dragged down for a loss of a yard, and a flag comes in behind the play as well. Huge momentum play with the 36-yard completion before the end of the 3rd quarter, but now the Junior Blues are headed backwards as the drive continues in Manhattan territory. It's a hold, and Manhattan is going to get a benefit defensively that time. They've committed plenty of penalties on their own right. This time the Junior Blues get moved back 10 yards on 1st down.
Actually, more than that, because it was 5 yards back into the end zone, and it was Vandervoort who called for the hold. So 1st and 25.
Call it a 15-yard penalty because of the hold behind the play. 1st and 25. Carlgren looks left, has to turn it upfield again, and this time he's wrapped up for a loss. Coaching staff a little frustrated on the sideline for Washburn Rural as Carlgren loses a yard. He's had a couple negative runs here in this 2nd half. He's also had some sensational runs. That time, he didn't pick up one of those. 2nd and 26, just over 30 seconds gone in the fourth quarter. Junior Blues trying to tie this ball game up. They trail by 7. Led 3-0 early on, cashed in with a 23-yard Giles Fredrickson field goal. They have trailed ever since after a couple Manhattan touchdowns and a field goal. 2nd and 26, ball up at hash. Carlgren fakes roll to the left, now back to the right. Throws down the sideline. His receiver slipped. He was looking for Adrian Tibbetts, his first target of the game along the far right sideline, but he's not able to get out of the break of his route, and it's 3rd down and forever now for the Junior Blues.
Yeah, Carlgren just here in this start of the fourth quarter, not a lot of time to pass. He had to roll out to the right to avoid the oncoming rush that was coming right at him. He was able to, but Tibbetts slipped, as you mentioned, on his first chance to catch the football.
Carlgren has completed a couple 3rd and longs to his top target, the junior Bolin, in this game, but none as long as 3rd and 26. Ball at the 41. Josh Williams comes in motion from left to right. Turns it up the field as Carlgren takes a 3-step drop. Looking deep, pressure comes. Just a roll right. Now fires deep down the sideline, looking for Williams in the end zone. We've got a flag near the goal line, and a ball that is incomplete down by the goal line, but a flag comes in. Williams slid down for the ball, wasn't able to haul it in, but Manhattan, which has already been called for defensive pass interference once tonight, may have just been flagged for it again.
Yeah, looks like DPI.
10:55 on the clock. Carlgren, lucky he even got that throw off with pressure right in his face in every direction. And they're going to move the ball up 15 yards for defensive pass interference. But as we learned here in Southwest Topeka a couple weeks ago, that is not an automatic first down. So it is still 3rd and long, 3rd down and 11 for Washburn Rural. 10:55 on the clock. 2 wide receivers left. Now one comes in motion. It's Williams again. Same formation for the Junior Blues. Carlgren, 3-step drop. Pressure comes up the middle, and he's dropped in the backfield. Jackson Vikander, the sophomore linebacker, burst through the hole and is able to drop Carlgren for a loss back to the 34-yard line. 4th and long now for the Junior Blues.
Loss of 7, 6th sack on the night, and Steve Bueller wants to call a timeout.
And we will take it with the two teams. 10:39 to go. Washburn Rural facing 4th and long, trailing by 7. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
The Lumberyard.
Center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
After the Washburn Rural timeout, they've got 2 left. The Junior Blues trailing 17-10, 10:39 to go. On the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week, Cooper Carlgren in the gun, empty set, 2 wide receivers left. Pressure comes left. It's a short pass to Bolin on the left sideline. Tries getting a block, breaks through 1 tackle, gets past the 30, but he's nowhere near the line to gain, which was all the way up at the 15-yard line. They try to go short. It only works for about 5 yards, and the Junior Blues, for the second time in this second half, turn the ball over on downs. 10.5 minutes left to play. The Manhattan Indians, with a 7-point lead, take back over at the Washburn Rural 28-yard line after the spot.
Yeah, try to see if Bolin could get out there, maybe make up that yardage, but a little too much, too far. And they, like you said, take over on downs. 1st and 10 for Manhattan.
Indians taking over. They already have 3 points here in this second half. 10.5 minutes to work with. The clock is their friend right now. Mason Reed goes in motion from right to left. Ashton Brenner in at quarterback. Fakes a handoff, and on the read, burrows ahead. And on the quarterback keeper, he's able to race ahead for 4 yards up to the 32-yard line. So call it 4 for Aschenbrenner. He's up over 100 rushing yards on the day. Came into tonight's contest the number 2 leading rusher in Class 6A, 534 yards on 100 carries for the year. And he's had another big night tonight for Manhattan. 2nd down and 6, ball on the near right hash as the Indians move from left to right as you listen. Aschenbrenner takes it, sweep handoff to Will Hoyt going left, and this time he runs right into the defensive line. Great play made up front that time by big Eric Schnurr, 6'2", 345 at defensive end for Rural. He makes the stop at the 31-yard line for a loss of 1. 3rd down and 7 now for the Indians.
Boy, you need to stop right here. 9:35 left to go in the game. Only down by 7, but possessions are dwindling down to a precious few for both teams.
3rd and 7, ball centered between the hashes. Newby is a wing to the right. Now he goes in orbit motion. Keenan Shart's in at quarterback. Will toss it to Newby going left. He looks for a hole, and he's met 2 yards short of the mark along the far sideline. Tackle made on the outside by who else? Ty Weber with the big hit. Now it's 4th and short for Manhattan, and it's decision time for Coach Joe Sharts.
Man, that was key. That was huge by Weber to stop Newby, who had that head of momentum. Now remember, Aschenbrenner is the punter as well. So would it be surprising maybe if they pull a rabbit out and maybe go with him on a fake? Just remember that, as he's got 3 personal defenders back.
Manhattan already pulled off a sneaky quick kick in this game. Bolin is deep to return for Washburn Rural at his own 30. Manhattan will kick it away. Line drive, end-over-end kick. And Bolin lets it bounce off his foot. It's a loose ball. There's a fight for it. Manhattan says they've got it. Bolin let the ball short hop off his calf. Manhattan's jumping around, and the Indians have it with 8:28 to go. Another special teams gaffe by Washburn Rural, and the Indians have the ball just on the fringes of the red zone with under 8.5 to play.
Boy, line drive punt. Bolin tried to pick it up on the bounce, but it just went straight into him and then went behind him where he couldn't get at it, straight at it, or just drop to the football. Boy, that's a big mistake right there. Big turnover by Washburn Rural.
8:28 on the clock. Manhattan up by 7 at the Washburn Rural 26. Shart's in at quarterback, hands to Aschenbrenner, who puts 2 hands on the ball, runs straight ahead, and is able to bounce over the 20-yard line to the 19. 7 yards on the carry for Aschenbrenner. And again, the clock is the friend of Manhattan right now as it continues to tick down. Indians up by 7.
20 carries, 119 yards on the night for Dane Aschenbrenner.
He has been tremendous. Last week when we had this Manhattan team against Seaman, he was really the only player for Manhattan who had a big offensive night, and he's replicating that here. 2nd and 4, Newby goes in motion. It's a handoff to Will Hoyt. Will Hoyt grabbed by the jersey, and he's not able to get much on the carry. Maybe a yard if he's lucky. Great play up front that time. It was Lucas Hanks in on defense. Starting H-back for the Washburn Rural offense makes a play that time. And it is officially a gain of no yardage on the carry for Will Hoyt.
Play of the game right here for Washburn Rural. Hold, and that's big.
From here, it would be a 36-yard field goal attempt. Manhattan comes out with their power formation. Talik Houston, the running back, now flanking Aschenbrenner to the left. Aschenbrenner will keep it. Angles to the left. Puts his head down. Fights near the spot, and it looks like he got it at the 15-yard line. He needed 3. He picks up 4. First down Manhattan with 7:04 to go.
A 3-year starter. That's why experience in this case pays off big. Dane Aschenbrenner gets the yardage needed to continue to have the clock run and to give them a fresh set of downs.
And as the clock continues to wind, we're down under 7 to play. Aschenbrenner stays in at quarterback. Will Hoyt to his right. Everybody else on the line. Handoff, Will Hoyt sweeps from right to left, tries bouncing to the outside, gets the first and more. Touchdown, Manhattan! Lorenzo Will Hoyt had a hole right along the far left sideline, sprints right down the corridor, and he's in for 6. 23-10, Manhattan with the lead. 6:42 left to play here at Bowen Glaze Stadium.
Yeah, he bounced it to the outside. Washburn Rural really focusing in on that middle, in between the tackles. once he did, he found the lane right along the sideline, and he got the touchdown.
Now Snowden on for the extra point attempt. He's made both of his tries and is 1 of 2 on field goals today. To make it 14, puts the kick up, and it splits the uprights. 24-10, Manhattan with the lead over Washburn Rural. Junior Blues will get the ball next. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW. 6:42 to go on the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week. Brendan Dworzinski and Greg Akagi with you. Jake Laban, our field reporter. Marco Marquez, our producer-engineer at the Alpha Media Studios on Huntoon Hill. Manhattan just cashed in a 4-play drive to extend its lead to 24-10 over Washburn Rural. Junior Blues have 6:42 to go and 2 timeouts to try to cut into this lead. Squib kick this time by Snowden. It bounces up at the 33-yard line. It's McKentis Adams, the running back, who fields it, carries it up to the 37-yard line. That's where the Junior Blues will take over. Let's take a quick moment for station identification. You're listening to the 580 Preps Game of the Week presented by Invista Credit Union on 580 WIBW. Once again, Brendan Dworzinski and Greg Akagi with you. Washburn Rural trailing by 14. 6:37 to play with decent field position at its own 37-yard line. 1st and 10, empty set for Cooper Carlgren. Throws it outside. Robbie Boland's got it on the slant. Turns the field at midfield. No one's going to catch Boland. 20, 10, play the fight song. Touchdown, Junior Blues. 1 play, 63 yards, and Washburn Rural is right back in this game midway through the 4th.
Boy, caught it on a slant pattern. The 2 defenders for Manhattan kind of looked at each other going, are you going to get him? No. And they let Boland go right down at the middle of the field for a 63-yard touchdown, and big strike offense for Washburn Rural. They're back in this game.
Last week, Boland had a 59-yard touchdown. This week, he gets one from 63 out. Now Fredrickson for the extra point. The kick is up. He didn't get all of it, but he's able to tuck it in the right upright. A 10-second, 1-play drive. 63 yards later, it's Manhattan 24, Washburn Rural 17. We'll take another timeout. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
Class, instead of history,
Backers Heating and Air.
6:27 to play. Washburn Rural. It took 1 play and 63 yards. They cut it to 24-17, still trailing by 7 against Manhattan. Giles Fredrickson boots the ball down the field. Lorenzo Wilhoit catches it a yard deep in the end zone. He wanted to return that one. He won't be allowed to. And Manhattan will start at its own 20-yard line. Robbie Boland, back-to-back weeks, a 59-yard touchdown against Emporia. Now a 63-yard touchdown against Manhattan. And Greg, the Junior Blues, right back in this game with just under 6.5 minutes to play.
And Brendan, does the Wild Bunch have another one in them? Trying to get another turnover, a stoppage on downs with 6:26 left to go. Washburn Rural has 2 timeouts, and Manhattan has their full allotment of 3.
Ashenbrenner in at quarterback. Reed is his wing, switches from right to left. Ashenbrenner will keep it. He trips over Will Hoyt. That's a loss of a yard. It was a read option by the quarterback, and he trips over his running back, and he ends up losing a yard. That's about the first time this entire half, if not the whole game, that Ashenbrenner hasn't run over 3 defenders for a big game. 2nd and 11 now for Manhattan.
If they keep Ashenbrenner, no, actually they're bringing Schartz back in. So Ashenbrenner will move to the running back slot.
More than half of this fourth quarter is in the books. 2nd down and 11, ball centered between the hashes. Newby goes in motion. Schartz takes the snap. It's an option toss outside to Newby. Newby spins off a tackler and gets crushed by David Dean coming up from his safety spot near the 20-yard line. It's a 1-yard pickup on the option toss to Newby. Back to the original line of scrimmage, setting up a 3rd down and 10 for the Indians. Just about 5.5 minutes to go in this one.
Boy, this is big right here for the Washburn Rural defense. Remember, the screen has worked a lot in this game. Ashenbrenner, though, looks like he's back in at quarterback. Ashenbrenner himself can take runs. He's got 122 yards on 22 carries on the night.
The Indians getting ready for this one. They're going to let the play clock tick down as long as they can. It's down to 10. Ashenbrenner with 2 wings in. He hands it off. Will Hoyt running right, and he is wrangled down in the backfield. Taken down by Connor Conklin at the 24-yard line. The outside linebacker has done a good job today getting some pressure on the quarterbacks for Manhattan. This time he makes a run stop. It's 4th down and 6 for Manhattan. 4:44 to play.
Now what are they going to do? They didn't bring in anybody. That being Manhattan.
The Junior Blues are sending 1 man deep. It's Bolin. A substitution along the line. This could be significant. Ben Ellis checking into the game for Rural. Eric Schnurr comes out. The best of the defensive linemen for the Junior Blues, an all-league honorable mention a year ago. And Manhattan is going to let the play clock tick under 5, and Joe Schartz is going to burn a timeout. Play clock winds all the way down with 4:10 to play as Joe Schartz uses his first timeout for the Indians, who lead 24-17 over Washburn Rural, but the Junior Blues could get the ball back here as the Indians face a 4th down and 6 from their own 24-yard line.
Updated score to give you fourth quarter, about a third of the way through. Lawrence High 32, St. Thomas Aquinas 27. Actually, let's see if we can get another update on that. Yep, still 32-27 last score he had. So that game, I think, more than living up to its billing overall. Finals are in. Riverside beating ACCHS 22-0. Hayden 49-14 victory over Santa Fe Trail. Linden 49, Central Heights 0. Republic County 40, St. Mary's 0. And Centralia beating Beloit 36-6 tonight.
Manhattan is set up to punt. Ashenbrenner deep to receive a long snap. Robbie Bolin is back to return for Washburn Rural, milling around at his own 47-yard line.
Washburn Rural is keeping its defense in the game.
It's just the safety Bolin who's backed up. Snap to Ashenbrenner, who steps into it. It is a punt. Gets it away, end over end, into a wobbler. It bounces at the 47-yard line. Washburn Rural's got to clear out. It's eventually touched by Manhattan dead at the Washburn Rural 45-yard line. 55 yards to go to the end zone. Manhattan leads by 7, 24-17. Washburn Rural scored on just 1 play on its last drive. A simple slant pattern to Robbie Bolin. He ran the rest of the way. Turned on the Jets, went 63 yards for the score. And now Washburn Rural has a chance to tie this one up. Good field position, too, for the Junior Blues.
Carlgren, second half passing 8 of 11 for 163 yards in the second half alone.
Empty set, tight end, wide receiver left, 2 receivers right. Carlgren looks, decides to run instead, passes the 45 with the juke move, gets into Manhattan territory, a pickup of 11 up to the 44-yard line. First down, Junior Blues. Carlgren with the heady play to pick up the first down.
And that also got him over 100 yards rushing, 103 yards rushing on 13 carries.
Manhattan has won every single game in this head-to-head series against Washburn Rural in the Max Preps era. That is 16 years. Rural trying to reverse that history tonight. 3:35 to go. Carlgren again with an empty set. 3-step drop in the gun. He's going to run again. He's got a little bit of a hole. Waits for a blocker. Gets up to the 40. Pushes ahead. Uses his upper body strength to lean forward. And he gets up to the 37-yard line. A pickup of 7. Second down and 3 now for the Junior Blues.
Did a good job of just getting right behind one of his offensive linemen, using him to get down and get a couple of extra yards as well. Still plenty of time on the clock. 2 timeouts for Washburn Rural as Carlgren looking to get the play.
Down near 3 minutes left to play. 2 wide receivers to the left. Ball centered between the hashes. Short drop for Carlgren. He has to evade pressure. Turns up past the 35. He's tackled forward up to the 30-yard line. That's enough for a first down. The Junior Blues move the chains again. 2:55 to play.
Gain of 717 yards rushing on 15 carries for Carlgren. He's got 90 yards rushing in the second half as well.
He almost has the rural season high in rushing for a game all by himself. 1st and 10, empty set. Throw to the outside, caught by Bolin. Bolin tackled at the 22-yard line. He's been the favorite target this season for Carlgren. He's had a big game with that 63-yard touchdown. Now a pickup of 8 on 1st and 10. Second down and short for the Junior Blues from the 22-yard line. And we've got 2:22 showing on the clock. And still 2 timeouts in the back pocket for Coach Steve Bueller. Carlgren looks to the sideline for the play.
Still no reason to rush, though. 2:10 left, and he got 2 timeouts.
Ball is on the near side left hash. The Junior Blues are moving from right to left across your radio dial. 2 wide receivers, and now a third with motion from Bolin to the right. Carlgren sprints right, throws underneath, has Bolin at the 20. He's got room in front of him to the 10 to the 5. A cutback. Bolin's in. Touchdown, Junior Blues. Washburn Rural is a point away from tying this game up. And once again, it's Robbie Bolin, 22 yards out, the short pass, and the touchdown for Washburn Rural.
Boy, that was surgical drive. Bolin did a great job. The defender was coming towards him. He hesitated and was able to get the defender to go by him, but now a huge extra point right here.
Fredrickson gets the hold down. The kick is up. It is high, and it is through. And with 1 minute, 54 seconds to go, the Washburn Rural Junior Blues have scored 14 unanswered points and have tied up our Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week at 24-all against Manhattan. What a second half for quarterback Cooper Carlgren, and what a fourth quarter for junior wide receiver Robbie Bolin, who on 3 catches just in this quarter has 93 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Overall, he has 8 receptions, 178 yards. Bolin now nearing just a shade under 200 yards passing, and he has over just 90 yards rushing. In the second half alone, he's over 100 yards rushing for the game.
Again, under 2 minutes to play in this one as the Junior Blues will send the Wild Bunch defense back onto the field. They led 3-0, then trailed 14-3. Then we're down 24-10 in the fourth quarter before back-to-back touchdown drives by the Junior Blues. That last one lasting 5 plays, 55 yards. Now Fredrickson gets ready to send the ball away. He approaches, puts the right foot into it, high end-over-end kick, and it is just over the head of a leaping Lorenzo Wilhoit on the goal line. He desperately wanted to return one, but he won't get the chance. Let's send it to our field reporter, Jake Laban. Jake, the downfield blocking on that last touchdown was superb by Washburn Rural.
And I think it was a busted coverage as well when they ended up motioning. This is why motion is such a big deal. It causes the defense to talk. The motion sending trips out there. Nobody covered Robbie Bolin. I mean, he was completely wide open. I think even Cooper Carlgren was surprised, and he threw it to him very quickly. And then I'll tell you what, Bolin's got some speed, doesn't he?
Aschenbrenner in at quarterback, 1st down and 10, ball centered between the hashes. Aschenbrenner will throw, looking to the outside. He completes it to Joe Hall, his favorite target. Hall takes it across the 25-yard line to the 26. It's a 6-yard pickup and out of bounds to stop the clock. Davion Maltzby was able to push Hall out of bounds. 5 seconds off the clock with that play, 1:49 to go.
And remember, Snowden has a big leg. He's going to have to kick into the wind if they have to kick a field goal.
Kicking in this direction during pregame, Snowden's longest make was from 35 yards out. 2nd down and 4 for the Indians. Mason Reed goes in motion. Aschenbrenner, handoff up the middle. It's Will Hoyt who trudges through, is able to fight through the mass of humanity, picks up 5 yards and gets a first down to the 31-yard line on the far left hash.
And that just got him over 100 yards, 101 yards rushing.
200-yard rushers in this game for Manhattan. They're quick back on the line, 1:38 to play. Aschenbrenner takes the snap, looks to the outside again. Once again, he completes it. This time he finds Tate Brown for his second catch of the ball game. He's up to the 38-yard line for a pickup of 7, and again stops the clock going out of bounds. Washburn Rural giving the Manhattan receivers plenty of space underneath.
And they're working the sidelines, trying to conserve the clock. Manhattan also with 2 timeouts and 93 seconds left in the game.
Indians moving from left to right as you listen. Ball placed on the far left hash. 1 wide receiver split out either side of the formation. Aschenbrenner, sprint to the right, sprint option, no look, toss to Will Hoyt, he's hit the backfield, Bolin can't tackle him, Will Hoyt runs backwards to the sideline, and he is stopped at the 36, that is a loss of 2, Will Hoyt couldn't find a hole, ends up going backwards, now it is 3rd down and 5 yards for Manhattan, and Washburn Rural wants a timeout.
Washburn Rural wants a timeout.
And we have a timeout called.
That is a huge play. And Greg, we cannot say enough about this Washburn Rural defense tonight. Whether it has been turnovers, whether it has been tackles for loss in big moments, they have continued to step up. That's the biggest reason why this game is all tied up at 24.
Because this game could have easily been out of hand at halftime, but it's allowed Washburn Rural to come back in this game. The Wild Bunch has lived up to their billing. It's not going to show in the stats, Brendan. But right now, you look at it in the scoreboard, that's why they're still in this game with 1:15 left to go. Late in the ball game, by the way, another updated score, Lawrence High 39, St. Thomas Aquinas 27, less than 2 minutes left to go.
In the battle of the best team in 6A versus the best team in 5A, the top 2 ranked teams in those classes. 1:15 to play in our game. Manhattan has the ball at its own 36-yard line. It needs to reach the 41 to move the chains. Indians have 2 timeouts to go. Washburn Rural just used its second, so the Junior Blues have 1 remaining. It's Dane Aschenbrenner in at quarterback for this play. Israel Newby, isolated receiver, short side right. Tate Brown to the left. Damian Ilalio is in as an extra blocker on the right side of the line. The wing is Reed to the left. Aschenbrenner waits for the snap. Barks out the signals, takes a low snap. Fakes to Will Hoyt. Pressure from Conklin. Aschenbrenner rolls out. He's looking down the field, and he has to throw it away along the Washburn Rural sideline. Connor Conklin was on him the entire time. Aschenbrenner has to throw it away, and it's 4th down and 5 for Manhattan. 1:08 to play.
Conklin got him out of his comfort zone. He had to roll to the right, and then couldn't find anybody and had no choice but to throw it out of bounds.
And wholesale changes for the on-field personnel for Manhattan. Aschenbrenner is the punter, so he stays on the field with 68 seconds on the clock. 2 men are deep. It's a safe punt return this time for Rural.
But remember, last time they punted, that's when Bolin muffed the punt, and they were able to get the turnover too.
Might be the reason also that they sent 2 guys back. Again, the 41 is the line to gain as Aschenbrenner gets ready for the punt. Play clock down to 23. Takes a high snap, gets a line drive kickoff, end over end, bounces at the 40-yard line, takes a Manhattan hop, but then will just die out at the 36-yard line. Exactly 1 minute left to play. Manhattan punts it away. Washburn Rural at their own 36. They're 64 yards away from the end zone. They don't need to go quite that far to be in scoring range, though, for their stud kicker, Giles Fredrickson.
And he'll kick with what wind is out there right now.
Washburn Rural and Coach Steve Bueller have 1 timeout to go. Wind currently blowing at about 10 miles an hour toward the north end zone. That's the way Washburn Rural's heading. Empty set for Carlgren. He looks right. Now he has to bounce back to the left. Looks to throw, launches down the left sideline for Bolin. Bolin catches it along the sideline, looking for a ruling. He's got it! A tiptoe catch at the 35-yard line. 51 seconds to play. The Junior Blues are in business in Manhattan territory.
29 yards on the pass, and what a catch by Bolin, up over 200 yards receiving and getting closer to the field goal range of Frederickson. 51 seconds left.
Carlgren again, empty set, 2 receivers right. He rolls in that direction after taking the snap. Elalio pressuring him. He throws it deep down the sideline, looking for Williams, and he just overshoots him at the front right pylon. Carlgren wanted all of it on the 1st and 10 pass, but he overcooked the throw just a little bit. 44 seconds left, 2nd and 10 now for the Junior Blues.
Elalio was in his grill, but he had time, that being Carlgren, to set his feet. And as you said, just overcooked it a hair, trying to get it to Williams in the corner in the front of the end zone.
Junior Blues moving from right to left as you listen. Ball on the near left hash. 2 wide receivers, wide side right, empty set backfield. Carlgren, sprint to the right, turns it upfield, gets past the 35. He gets hit by a pair of Indians linebackers and is dropped for a short gain. Jackson Vikander in on the stop. And a timeout called on the field. Timeout called by Manhattan. Pardon me, that was actually called by Washburn Rural.
Yeah, Washburn Rural. They got to save the time. However, if they get something that is inbounds, if they don't get a first down, they're going to have to rush up to the line, especially if it's tackled inbounds. If they get a first down, they may just have to down it to get that time as to what they want to do. I think they need to get another first down to probably get into more reasonable field goal range for Frederickson.
It is also important to note, if the field goal, if they do attempt one, misses, Manhattan will get the ball at the spot of the kick, which could set up the Indians with good field position, and Manhattan has 2 timeouts left, 36 seconds to play. From this spot, middle of the field, 33-yard line, it would be a 50-yard attempt for Giles Frederickson, who does have a good leg, does have the wind at his back, but you ask any kicker, that is a daunting task in a crucial situation. And also significant to note, Greg, if Washburn Rural can't get the first down, can't get out of bounds, Manhattan can use one of those timeouts strategically to stop the clock, set themselves up with some more time, whatever happens on 4th down. But before we get there, 3rd and 8, 36 seconds to play, ball centered between the hashes for Cooper Carlgren. He's got 1 isolated receiver to the right side of the field, that's Bolin, 2 to the left, that includes Williams in the slot. Now Williams in motion from left to right, he's in slot right. Carlgren looks, pressure up the middle. He's got to do something quickly. Evades 1 sack. He wants to run for it. Gets to the original line of scrimmage and dives ahead. Washburn Rural cannot stop the clock. We're down to 24 seconds and counting.
They're going to try it.
Frederickson runs onto the field. Carlgren's his holder. We're down to 17, down to 16. Frederickson gets ready. He lines up. From 48 yards out, he puts the leg into it for the uprights, and Frederickson misses the field goal. He had the leg, but not the accuracy.
Boy, and Carlgren did an incredible job. The snap actually bounced to Carlgren. He was able to get it up, maybe not in the primary spot where they needed it, but at least gave them the chance. It was kind of a sidewinder that Frederickson hit, but he was inaccurate as far as getting it through the upright.
6 seconds to play. Manhattan will get the ball. The miss going through the end zone, missing the upright, will place the ball at the 20-yard line. 6 seconds left. Manhattan does have 2 timeouts. Maybe not enough time to use either of them. Aschenbrenner is in at quarterback. Claps his hands. He hands it off to Lorenzo Wilhoit, who bounces to the outside. He's got some room, but is eventually wrapped up along the sideline. It was Ty Weber in there to make the stop. The clock is showing triple zeros, and with the score of 24-24, we are headed to overtime. Washburn Rural in the 4th quarter, trailing by 2 touchdowns, is able to come back and knock this one up at 24 as we head to the extra period. We will take a 1-minute timeout. We'll be back with overtime after this. You're listening to the Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week on 580 WIBW.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Bowen Glaze Stadium in southwest Topeka, the site of tonight's Invista Credit Union 580 Preps Game of the Week. Brendan Dworzinski and Greg Akagi with you in the press box tonight. Jake Laban is our sideline reporter. Marco Marquez, our producer-engineer, back at the Alpha Media Studios on Huntoon Hill here in the capital city. It was a thrilling fourth quarter between Manhattan and Washburn Rural. The Junior Blues trailed by a margin, of 24-10 midway through the fourth quarter, but then a 63-yard touchdown pass, a one-play scoring drive for Washburn Rural from Cooper Carlgren to Robbie Bolin. Then one drive later, 5 plays, 55 yards, and a 22-yard touchdown pass with the same battery tied this game up at 24 apiece. Washburn Rural, with 6 seconds to go, had a chance to get the win, but from 48 yards out, junior kicker Giles Fredrickson just missed his field goal attempt to the right of the uprights, and that brought us to overtime with a mark of 24-24, as the two teams are now taking the coin toss procedures. Had a ref showing the coin to both teams, making sure there's no funny business here. Washburn Rural won the toss at the start of the game, deferred, but still ended up scoring first. They recovered a Manhattan fumble and were able to kick a field goal from 23 yards out. They led 3-0. Manhattan, we believe, our head ref is not mic'd up. We believe that Manhattan did win the toss. That is confirmed. So Washburn Rural decided to defend the north end zone, which means that these teams will be moving to start this overtime from right to left across your radio dial. Greg, let's get to a quick key to this overtime period for Washburn Rural.
Well, I think it's a shorter field, obviously, for what you're going to be able to do, but Cooper Carlgren has been the big story as far as this game is concerned. 13 of 16 passing, 228 yards, 222 of those in the second half. He's had 92 yards rushing as well. I think you have to keep it in the arms of number 5 as far as either throwing the ball or running the football. I think that's going to be big. Now, the Wild Bunch defense, they're going to have to go out first, and they're going to have to defend.
We actually had a miss. Our head ref signaled that Manhattan was going to get the ball.
Oh,
that is not the case. Washburn Rural is going to start.
So they're going to get the ball second. Yep, they're going to get the ball second.
So Junior Blues, that seems like the more common strategy.
Yeah.
So Washburn Rural will start. They go empty set, ball at the 10-yard line. Game clock turned off here in overtime. Snap to Carlgren on first down from the 10. He rolls to the right. Looks for the end zone. Pressure comes. He dips back to the left. He's going to lose yardage. He's dropped in the backfield. Deshaun Edwards, the defensive lineman, bursts through, has contained on Carlgren, and drops him for a big loss all the way back to the 17-yard line.
Well, that's a mistake right there by Carlgren. If he knows he's got to scramble like that and not get out of there, he's got to throw the ball away. He lost 7 on that play. Instead of second down at the 10-yard line, it'll be second down back at the 17.
Ball on the far right hash for Washburn Rural. Again, moving from right to left as you listen. Carlgren, 3-step drop. Pressure comes up the middle. He breaks through it. He's going to run to the 10 to the 5. Carlgren to the end zone. Cooper Carlgren breaks contain, and he's in for 6. And the Junior Blues strike first in overtime period number 1.
Brendan, never mind. Cooper Carlgren, wow.
A 17-yard scamper by the senior quarterback. He has put the Junior Blues on his back in this second half. And he sprints ahead through the contain and is in for 6. Now Fredrickson, the extra point. A high rainbow kick, and it is in. 31 for Washburn Rural, 24 to Manhattan. What looked like a disastrous first possession of overtime for Rural ends up in a major success with the 17-yard touchdown that time by Carlgren.
Jake Laban, we have seen great quarterback play throughout this entire season, but in a half like this, Cooper Carlgren, I think, takes the cake as far as outstanding efforts that we have seen.
I thought the sack was a huge play, but then you got to give him credit. He made the linebacker miss at about the 15-yard line and just ran right over a safety in the end zone. And we'll see here, can the defense find a way to get a stop? And how about this? Brennan, the last time Washburn Rural beat Manhattan was when? This could be a huge stop here for the Junior Blues.
It has been at least 16 years. Now first down for Manhattan, and we've got a flag. Keenan Schartz in at quarterback. He was trying to go with a quick hitter to the left and Tate Brown, but a penalty flag stopped the play from ever happening. It's a dead ball, false start against the Indians. So now both teams have been backed up to start their overtime drives. It was a sack that Carlgren took for Rural. It's a 5-yard penalty for Manhattan.
Now, having said that about Carlgren, Dane Aschenbrenner just as capable of doing the exact same thing that Cooper Carlgren did on that first touchdown in overtime.
What a battle of senior quarterbacks tonight. Dane Aschenbrenner for Manhattan, Cooper Carlgren for Washburn Rural. But it's Keenan Schartz, the sophomore, in at quarterback. Aschenbrenner running back left. He takes a handoff, plows ahead on first down and 15 from the 15. He gains 4 yards up to the 11. So second down and goal at the 11. There is no first down to move the chains in high school overtime. You need to reach the end zone. So 3 more chances now for Manhattan. They need a touchdown, an extra point after the score by Washburn Rural to open this period. Tate Brown, isolated receiver, wide side left. Schartz still in the gun. He has a wing right, Aschenbrenner to the left. That wing goes in motion, it's Newby. Schartz looking, pressure comes, throws for the end zone, and it's caught on the goal line. Touchdown Manhattan! What a throw by Schartz! What a play in a gigantic moment. It's Mason Reed with the grab. His first touch of the ball game, 11th catch, first touchdown of the season. 31-30, a huge extra point coming here for Manhattan.
Boy, that was unbelievable. Schartz getting pressure as well. Stood in the pocket, took the hit, and got the ball to Reed.
Snowden is on the field for the extra point.
Swinging gate,
Manhattan
for 2.
They line up, student body left, swinging gate. Aschenbrenner rolls right, going to the end zone, tossing outside, and they are in! Manhattan for 2 and the win in overtime! Aschenbrenner lines up, tosses to his kicker running right, and they get zone for 2 and the win! A heartbreaker for Washburn Rural, which falls to 2-4 on the year, 1-3 in the Centennial League. Manhattan back to 500 at 3-3 overall this season, with a dramatic, thrilling finish here in Southwest Topeka tonight. An unbelievable high school football game tonight, Greg, and Washburn Rural comes up just 1 play short.
You roll the dice, Joe Schartz. Remember, in high school, you have to go for 2 in the 3rd overtime. That's mandatory. But he rolled the dice. You know, percentages say you do that on the road. You go for the win on the road. And they went with the swinging gate. They had Aschenbrenner at quarterback. 8 players over on the other side, or 7 players over on their side. And that's how how do you defend it? Getting over there, Aschenbrenner, he's the threat to run. He waited till the very, 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 very last second. Pitched the ball to Snowden. Snowden got into the corner of the end zone. Robbie Bolin did his absolute darndest to try and get him out of bounds. Could not. And the referee, or the sideline judge, was actually going backwards. He saw it, and then he running backwards. He signaled touchdown, and Manhattan somehow comes out with the win here at Bowen Glaze Stadium.
An unbelievable football game here at Bowen Glaze Stadium. Your final score, Manhattan 32, Washburn Rural 31. Manhattan stays undefeated against Washburn Rural in the Max Preps era, 17 years. We will take a timeout, come back with post-game coverage. We'll get you